So I'm so excited to talk about this. Why are millions of people around the world drawn to Erling Haaland? Right? He's absolutely one of the best footballers on the planet right now. He scores these phenomenal goals. If you haven't seen any of the clips, go watch, do yourself the favor and go watch them. But I actually don't think that's what people are responding to. I think they're responding to something really deeper that resonates with us. Because every once in a while, someone comes along who seems remarkably comfortable in their own skin. Like they're so real, they're not performing, they're not trying to convince us they're important. They're just so unapologetically themselves. And in a world where so many of us spend our lives trying to earn the right to be ourselves, right? We have this belief we have to do something just to be us and to be accepted. There's something really profoundly hopeful about that, about seeing someone like Erling Haaland in the world in such a big way. And today, I don't really want to talk about football. I want to talk about that freedom, okay? Stay with me. Hi, I'm Leeza Steindorf. For more than 20 years, I've worked with leaders, organizations, governments, and people really from all walks of life. And underneath all the conflict, the fear, striving, the discomfort, everything that people want in the world, I've discovered something surprisingly simple. Simple but not easy, perhaps. And that's that every human being longs for the same thing, to be seen, really seen, and to be accepted and loved for who they are. Not for the role they play, not for their title or what they accomplish, but literally for who they are. And I think that's why someone like Erling Haaland captures our imagination. I mean, not only someone like him, he himself, he's adorable, he's fierce, he's funny, he's caring, he's just this bigger than life person, but he's all him, right? There's no facade, there's no layers on top of it. He shows up exactly the way he is. And I think that we're really in love with him, not because we all want to become football stars, but because somehow he's reminding us of what it looks like to stop apologizing just for being who we are. Like, if you watch him, it doesn't even occur to him. So one of the stories that I've really been moved by isn't even about soccer or any of his phenomenal goals. It's about this little boy in Brazil, and he really admired Haaland. And so he wanted to be just like him. And he grew his hair out that way, and he wore it that way. And he was feeling really good about this. And then other kids started to bully him, as kids can be tough, right? So when Haaland heard about that, he didn't just blow it off. He took his time with everything he's got going on in his life to reach out to this little kid. And he didn't tell him to try something different. He didn't tell him how to try and fit in. He encouraged this little boy to keep being himself, to do what felt good to him, and to not let other people's opinions decide who he was or who he should be. That's pretty amazing. Like, if you think about that for a minute, this guy, Haaland's got millions of followers, right? He's been playing the World Cup. Like, he's got stuff going on. But he took his time because it was important to him to reach out to one little boy and help him feel safe in his own skin. I mean, that's beautiful, right? It's beautiful not because it's dramatic. It's just simply human. And he does that everywhere, right? Like, if he sees a sign that somebody wants a shirt, he gives his shirt. He'll stop in traffic and give people signatures, right? He's just this human being, completely who he is and being himself. How refreshing. How wonderful. And what permission that could give us, right? People think we're often inspired by greatness. Maybe. But I'm not so sure that that's really what's going on here. I think that actually we're inspired by that kind of absolutely unbridled freedom. To just be who we are, to laugh, to compete that fiercely without needing anybody else's approval. Who he's most concerned about is his teammates. And not because he needs their approval, but because he wants to show up for them. And he has that freedom to celebrate and just to be totally present. And we long for that. Yeah, that freedom to stay grounded within ourselves, even like him, You're on the biggest stage in the world, hundreds of thousands of people watching you, and still being grounded within yourself. So when teammates describe someone who's joyful to be around, and when people become so phenomenally successful and it does not erase their humanity, and when they continue to treat people that kindly, we take notice. And I think it's that resonance within ourselves, right? Something inside relaxes as though our nervous system says, oh man, maybe I don't have to perform. Maybe I don't have to work so hard just to be me. So if you look at children, young children, they don't spend time wondering if they're allowed to be themselves. They're just themselves. And then as they grow and they have encounters and life happens, right? We get judged and compared like the little boy in Brazil being laughed at, right? And then we feel rejected, or we are rejected and excluded. Or we're praised for this thing, but we're criticized for the other thing. And then with time, all of those inputs and jabs and bumps and bruises, they slowly help us build an armor. And then almost without noticing it, we start editing ourselves. We don't say that. Ooh, I can only say this here. Oh, I shouldn't do that. And we start altering and getting more and more constricted because we're not really giving ourselves the freedom to be who we are. We become who we think we need to be to avoid that kind of negative feedback. But you're never going to avoid it. People are always going to have issues. You get to be the one to decide. You don't need to be professional enough or successful enough or pleasing enough or strong enough or whatever the enough is, interesting enough, right? Spiritual enough, whatever, smart enough. You get to just be you. Because when you try so hard to morph yourself and edit yourself and bend yourself and become really good at performing your life, you're really not even living it. You're performing constantly, and that can be so exhausting. I work with so many leaders who say that they are just done with that. And when they finally give themselves permission to just be who they are, it's like they've taken off the shackles, honestly. And I think that's what Erling Haaland stands for all of us. He gives us that fresh permission to just be ourselves. So I don't think our deepest longing is success. I think our heart is not looking for status. And I don't know, maybe not even happiness, or maybe this is the source of happiness. I think it's that we want to finally experience what it feels like to just have the freedom to be ourselves and to be seen that way, to be accepted that way, to stop trying to earn or stop pretending or stop negotiating and volleying for our worth, but to discover that who we are, who you are, who I am at our core is not something we have to create or justify or validate. It's simply who we are. We can take off the layers and just simply be. And I think that's why people like Erling Haaland really, really matter. And it's not because they're perfect or that we should try and imitate them, because that's certainly not what he wants either. And how can we do that anyway, right? But it's because they remind us what becomes possible when someone lives with that kind of inner permission, when they live with that kind of radical authenticity, and then they become a mirror. Not by saying become me, but because they're saying, who are you? What would it be like if you became more fully yourself? That's the invitation. So this is why the work I do isn't really about communication or leadership or conflict, and all those matter. And yes, that's some of the work, that's the way it expresses itself. But underneath all of those facets, underneath all that is something deeper. It's really helping people become more fully themselves. Because when you stop spending your time performing or trying to be a certain way, you have so much more energy to create, to just be you, to love and to contribute and to lead and to build things and serve others. And you're more present. right? Your presence is more palpable because there's not all these layers. I think of it often as peanut butter. Like we spend years and years of putting peanut butter on to protect ourselves from all these bumps and pokes and things, right? And then we spend years then trying to scrape off all the peanut butter, and how good it feels when we have no layers on top of ourselves. And that starts with knowing that without those layers, we are good enough. We are beyond good enough. Yeah? So you don't need to learn another technique or become the best soccer player in the world or anything like that. But I think if we look at someone like Erling Haaland and how he shows up in the world with that absolute boisterous, beautiful freedom of his, it's a reminder that that's how we can be for ourselves too. We can give ourselves permission to be fully who we are in the world. So perhaps that's the invitation that's hidden inside of the story. It's not to admire someone else's freedom, but to accept that invitation. We don't need another copy of Erling Haaland. We've got one, and he's amazing. But we do need you and me and all the different people, because all that diversity creates this beautiful world. And not with you edited or polished or anything. Just the version that's real. Just you. And that can feel threatening to a lot of people because a lot of folks haven't lived that way. But try it out. Start with one person you feel safe with, or one environment you feel comfortable doing that with. Because there is someone in your life, maybe someone you've never met yet, who doesn't need you to become extraordinary. They need you to be you. And that's going to give them the invitation to be themselves. So I'd like to leave you with a question. Just a simple question. As most of my questions are, right? Who are you when you stop trying to earn the right to be yourself? Like, just who are you? And who do you want to be in the world? And see if that feels lighter when you ask that question. Yes? And if that question stays with you after this video, don't rush to answer it. Let it linger. Like, live with it. Sit with it. See what emerges, because it's a process, right? It's not a one and done thing. And I have a feeling that the freedom that we've all been searching for is inside that question. Who are we when we stop trying to earn the right to be ourselves? Okay? So if this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I also would be honored if you would subscribe to the channel, and you'll get a lot more information like this, and you'll know when new clips come out. And if you know of someone who would benefit from this conversation, please feel free to share the video. All right, thank you for being here, and until next time, take good care of yourself. The world needs you.